Hey guys, Matt Dean here from Dean Family Acres. We're about to start working on grafting this calla pear, which is a wild Bradford essentially that has been across from that, and you can tell that by it's got some extremely crazy thorns coming off of it. And instead of cutting it down and getting that bounty that we can get from Clemson, our local ag extension, what we're going to do is actually try and graft some different pear scions onto this tree. Hopefully this goes well and we can change this ridiculous tree that stinks and has huge thorns on it into something that is actually productive, as I know a lot of you also have these wild Bradford calla pears in your yard and you're trying to debate about what to do. They might be in a field, they might be on a fence line, etc. We're trying to give you an alternative, and this is it. Follow along as we dive into this project. Dean Family Acres. Hey guys, so thanks for joining us for this week's video as we're going to do the grafting of this calla pear, and we turn it into something that will actually be useful instead of a stinky tree with big thorns on it. One of the first things we needed to make sure in order or have on hand, we've tried to do it before with saran wrap and it certainly works, but not. So we ordered some of that, it actually came in, so we're gonna make sure and be able to use that in this project. You'll also want to make sure that you've got some sharp pruners and a grafting knife of some form. A razor knife will work, you're just gonna be super careful with it. And also you're going to need some scions from your tree or from another producing pear tree. There's tons of different varieties out there. You just got to kind of decide exactly which ones you want to put in and how you want to organize it. So let's go over to the tree and see if we can figure out exactly how, what, when, and where we want to do this. Alright guys, so you can kind of see a little bit right here. We've got some blooming going on and also a little bit of leafing that will be coming out really soon. So that means now is the time to get this grafted. You want to kind of decide exactly what you want to do. Through that, it could be a little bit of research, but also you just want to make sure that you've got all the correct items that you're going to need. First is you want to make sure, obviously, that you have a pear that you want to graft. A second is that you're going to need some kind of pear scion. That is some dormant wood, preferably 1 year wood that you can graft onto your pear rootstock. Yes, I know this is a big tree, but essentially you're using it as your rootstock. It's well established to the area, you about can't get rid of them, etc. But why don't you turn that negative tree into something that will be a positive. I would encourage you to kind of research based off of what area or zone you're in and also what your chill hours are. It's just like when you're shopping for some other type of fruit tree. You want to decide exactly what type of fruit you want this tree to produce. We're trying to jumpstart and not having to wait 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years depending on the varieties before you get some fruit. You actually could be able to get fruit within that next year if you graft these correctly and they take off. You do want to make sure that whenever they do that they are going to be able to support the fruit and that graft union is strong. Third, you're going to need some kind of saw to be able to cut this back. So whether that be a chainsaw to kind of do those rough cuts, a handsaw to kind of maybe make that cut a little smoother depending on how your cut came out with the chainsaw, some loppers if it's not so big that you need a chainsaw or a handsaw or something like that, and or some pruners. So you will definitely need that. You'll also need a grafting knife of some form. Again, you can use a razor knife if you want to. You also could use an actual grafting knife. I would encourage you to kind of make your choice. Are you going to do this consistently, or is this something that you're going to do just one time and not worry about it again? Make those purchases wisely. You're also going to need some parafilm grafting tape. I ordered this off of Amazon. I ordered the 1 inch. Just figured this is kind of the best width we can kind of work with. I'm also going to be grafting some plum and some peach rootstock as well, so those are other projects that we're working on. But you want to make sure in order. One roll is about 90 feet. so it should be more than enough. In addition to the pear film, you'll also want some kind of coating if you've got a big kind of big tree limb that you're cutting. These are, I would say, probably anywhere from 4 to 6 inches around. You want to have something to actually coat those with. You can use a couple of different things. They make some paint that's kind of a greasy paint that you can use specifically for this, for grafting. You can also use toilet bowl wax rings, which is what we're going to try this year. Usually you can find those semi-affordable and they go a long way. Next, let's see exactly what we want to do in regards to deciding where we want to cut and how we're going to cut these. But I think in regards to the list, this is essentially it, that in regards to what you will need. Again, I'm going to try and link as much of this stuff down below to kind of make it easy for you if you just want to order it and get it sent to your house. Alright guys, so we're going to try and evaluate exactly where we want to prune this tree and then come back and actually be able to cut it with the saw. So it's kind of hard to get all this on video in regards to being able to see what our angles are, what we're dealing with, etc. But you can kind of see that is about at the 5 foot mark right here. So we've got that, and then it forks, and then we've got limbs kind of going everywhere. I do want to say that some of these limbs I do want to use what we can, because honestly a lot of times you're grafting on these smaller limbs, as long as they're still viable, will probably do a little bit easier, or in my opinion a little bit easier to do accurately than trying to do something large. And just think about your height. At what point do you want to be able to pick from these trees, and where are your limbs? So next what we'll do is kind of figure out exactly where we're going to trim. It's going to take a little bit of calculation. I do want to kind of try my best to see what we can figure out before just coming out here with a chainsaw and starting to hack on things. At least have a general idea. You can also notice like some of these angles of these limbs are not exactly the greatest. So this is coming down, looping up. This one's actually crossing, looping down and around. But you also can definitely see these thorns. Now, this tree actually had a good many things around it, and I'll probably try and insert some video somewhere in regards to us removing all this around it. Alright guys, so now we've got our chainsaw, and we'll actually come out and see if we can top this calla pear and kind of start doing some bark grafting. Again, the key is timing on this. When they are blooming is exactly when you want to do it, and you're looking at the bark being able to slip. So when you cut it, that bark should kind of easily move off of the tree. It shouldn't be very hard or brittle, that kind of thing. So generally when they're leafing out, at least in regards to pears, it's absolutely perfect timing. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so we got the second limb slash trunk off, and now we're gonna see about getting a couple different varieties grafted and trying to figure out exactly where we want to do that. The bark did slip, so perfect timing. Again, just if you kind of start seeing those stinky trees bloom, that's the time to graft that you'll have the most success. So let's see if we can get in here and get these grafted, as well as decide exactly which varieties we want to do. Alright guys, so I was able to get the labels done. So put the type on there as well as the date, and then on the back I'll just cover up, put the name of who I got it from, and also FB for Facebook's where I end up connecting with them, and then I'll also keep it in a notebook in regards to where on Facebook. I think I got this on one of the Scion Exchange groups, and I think she's actually on a couple other groups, but you know, here's another Acres Home. And this one I'll put her name on the same side, but Baldwin. So that way I can actually tag these. I have read a couple negative things in regards to the actual wire. I'll keep an eye on it and see how they do. If it looks like it starts to get fragile, I'll certainly replace this with some more heavy duty wire. I've heard that this just doesn't last very long. Sun's kind of starting to go down. Perfect time to do this. Absolutely beautiful day. Get out here a little bit after work and be able to kind of do a little project at a time. So we're gonna see if we can figure out how to do some bark grafting on this and make it happen. Let's jump up here. Alright guys, these are Leconte, and I've cut, I will definitely say I'm not the greatest, but we're trying two different types there. I think this one might be long, but I can always cut it back. And what we're gonna do here, obviously I don't want anything growing this direction here. So what I'm gonna do is probably do 1, 2, 3, 4, and kind of leave this backside open and try and make it where these buds are actually facing out. So this one here, probably pretty good coming that way. So just kind of cut our split and go from there. We'll come back and seal this up before we leave it. Alright guys, so we got a couple different things. We got some modeling clay, and then we also have wax ring for my toilet. I only have the one that is with the extra little flap, but it'll work just the same. So I'll link those down below as well. What you want to do is take this modeling clay, and you're wanting to seal up every one of these cracks, because if there's going to be an air gap in there, they won't heal up. So just knead it really well, and make sure each and every one of these cracks is filled. Alright guys, so we were able to get the modeling clay on, and now we're going to take the wax ring from the toilet, and we're actually going to coat all across the top of the where we cut this tree. and also at the top of each and every one of these scions. Alright guys, so now we're going to get our electrical tape, go around as tightly as we possibly can. Don't worry, the electrical tape is perfect because it actually tightens up as much as possible. And you're not going to hurt this tree. So you want to use that electrical tape. You also can use the parafilm here if you would like to, but honestly I think electrical tape's a little bit easier. Another place where you can use parafilm if you wanted to is wrapping around each one of these scions. I think our timing's right, so I'm not going to worry about it in this application. I will definitely use the parafilm when we're trying to do the whip and tongue and or the cleft graft on some of these smaller branches. Alright guys, so you can see here we got the electrical tape just right all the way around. If you want to create just a little bit of a lip you can, but remember you need to seal with the modeling clay before, and then we're going to come back and do the wax. You can see I accidentally started with wax and I was like, oh, I got to put the tape on first. So you want to put this modeling clay and then the electrical tape, and then you're going to use the toilet bowl ring wax. Alright guys, so you can see this Leconte is done, and we've got it sealed up with tape, wax, and modeling clay. Alright guys, so we got the Leconte grafted on as we did a bark graft, and we're going to continue working on these other ones. Might just set you up on a time lapse unless there's something unique whenever we get to a cleft, and we might try whip and tongue this year. So again, always trying to think through in regards to what to do with your Bradford or Callerly pears, and this is an option. Keep following along as we'll keep working through getting this thing grafted up. Alright guys, so we're out here grafting another one of our bark grafts. This is Acres Home. Just going to go on top. I put 3 up here, and I left them a little bit longer after watching Randall over on Flemington Famous. I went back and watched this video again. I watched it a couple times. I would encourage you to go check that out. I'll link it down below. He was talking about leaving more than just one bud, and I had left 1 to 2 on these others when I did the Leconte yesterday. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make sure and put a little bit more. Also on the back side of this, there was a little bit of damage, not bad, but a little bit damage from that chainsaw. That's why I only put 3 up here, but I think it'll be fine. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna thin off some of these limbs. I am gonna leave 1 limb for the Callerly just to make sure this tree makes it. We can always prune off more. Remember, you can't always add anything. So we'll be working on that and trying to get everything on, and also figuring out what else we want to graft here. All right guys, it's been a couple of days and it's about all I can do to be this close to the old stinky tree. I know when I first cut, it definitely was just super stinky, but right now it's actually not horrible. This is definitely a hot topic on any local Facebook groups though. Some love them, some hate them. I would encourage you to figure another way to use them. Don't just cut them all the way down. Grafting them seems to work well. So got 3 more varieties that we're gonna put onto this tree now. We already have Acres Home, Baldwin, and Leconte. We did the Acres Home and the Leconte as bark grafts, then did a cleft graft on Baldwin on 2 different areas, and now we are actually going to do a sugar pear and a pineapple, and then there's also a Clark or Clarks, which you don't see a lot of those information about those, but apparently they put on a really small pear. But all of these should be super early, low chill hours. We're talking 150 to 200-ish is about the chill hours that we're going to have on this tree. So hopefully that means that things will bloom and be at least somewhat consistent on this tree specifically. And then we've got the other pears back behind us if we want to put some of our other scions that we've picked up that have a few more chill hours. So we'll be kind of figuring that out in the future. If we haven't already kind of put that out, I would encourage you to check out the playlist here in regards to us doing some grafting here on our place. Now what we'll do is we'll dive in and we'll get these other varieties grafted. All right guys, so just a couple of things when you're grafting, just to think through of what you want to do, how you want to organize everything. Look at your angles of your branches. So this one's actually growing down. That's not exactly optimal, but if it's the only spot we have, we might actually end up using that. We've got a bunch of crossing branches here. I will also say, if you got a cowlie, be careful of these. These thorns will mess you up pretty quick. That's one of the main reasons that we are removing a majority of the branches that are that on this tree. So kind of figure out exactly what, where, how we want to do this, and also trying to be organized so we've got similar pear varieties in the same area, not just a bunch of randomness all over the place. Lastly, you want to think about it. You don't want to come out right here and graft. If your wood is this size, okay, I would strongly encourage you, don't do it out here at the tip of a branch, because it's only going to grow from there and you're going to end up with just a short piece of fruiting wood. Of course, with a pear, you know, it's definitely going to grow a whole lot more. However, you want to actually use the whole branch. So I would encourage you kind of come back here. If you do have a fork, kind of trying to figure out exactly where you want to go, and use as close to that main trunk as possible. You want that growth to be pushing into your scion, not into, you know, 4 feet of traditional limb and then just a little piece of scion out at the end. All right guys, so let's just see what we've got here. We got a pineapple, got that from Ronnie over at Early Bird Farms. So it's there. We got a sugar pear, got that from Ronnie as well. And you can see we're putting a name and then who we got it from and also the date we did it. And then this is a Clark Small Yellow. We got this from Bill. He's in one of the other groups we're in. And actually kind of did a bark graft. So we'll see if this works. I know I've seen some videos on it, but we'll see how it worked. Just did a really small cut and slid this in and then pulled that bark back over where I cut it on both sides. And then we put the parafilm all the way around. And I came back with tape just to make sure to hold this super firm. Whenever this bud pops out, if it does pop out, it will come through that parafilm and then it will start growing up. So hopefully that will work out well. Now to decide what to do with this limb, I feel like I want to cut it back. You might have seen me in the time lapse actually pruning back some of these thorns because I did not want to poke myself in the eye or in the arm or anywhere else. So we'll see what we're going to figure out with a couple of these others. I'm tempted to kind of just graft any of them, and hopefully, you know, that way if we have something that does not take, then we'll be okay. Hey guys, checking on the progress of our Bradford Pear grafting. Looks like things are going well so far. Guys, I think we might have a problem here on our Bradford Pear graft. Let me show you what we're talking about. So what do you think? You think that those cicadas are gonna do something bad, or you think it'll be all right? Comment down below, love to find out.